Welcome to another deep dive. Today we're going to be looking at lighting design.
Ooh, fun.
Yeah, I'm excited about this one. I feel like this is something that we see everywhere.
It really is.
Every day. But we don't think about that often, and so we're going to dive into the world of lighting design with a bunch of glossaries that we found online.
Oh.
And we're going to learn some new terms. We're going to explore some interesting techniques.
Yeah, and I think what people will find really fascinating is just how much science and creativity actually goes into lighting design.
Oh, for sure.
You know, people think, oh, you just like put a light bulb in and you're good to go.
Right.
But there's a lot more to it than that. Like,
Yeah.
you're shaping perceptions.
Yeah.
You're influencing how people function in a space. You're evoking emotions with light.
It's true. It's like setting a mood or a vibe
Yeah.
with the lighting that you choose. I've always been really interested in those terms that you see on like lighting specs. You know, like luminaire and illuminous.
Right.
It all sounds so technical. Is it like really important for us to know what all that jargon means?
I mean, you don't need to be a lighting designer to appreciate good lighting.
Right.
But I think having a basic understanding of the terminology definitely helps.
Okay.
It's kind of like if you're building a house, you know, you wouldn't just start putting up walls without knowing the difference between a beam and a foundation.
Yeah, that's true.
So these terms might sound intimidating at first,
Yeah.
but they're really just the building blocks of understanding how light works.
Okay, so let's start with one that I always get tripped up on.
Sure.
What exactly is a luminaire?
So a luminaire is basically the whole lighting fixture package.
Okay.
It includes the housing, the wiring, and the light source itself.
Oh, okay.
So it's everything.
Got it.
And when we talk about the light source, the technical term for that is lamp,
A lamp.
which is really just a fancy way of saying light bulb.
Okay, so it's like engine versus car.
Exactly.
The lamp is part of the luminaire.
It's the heart of it.
Yeah, but there's all this other stuff going on around it to make it function.
Exactly. And, you know, once you understand the components of a luminaire, then you can really start to appreciate how designers choose the right fixture for a particular space or application.
That makes sense. So there's a lot of thought that goes into that.
There is.
Now, I've also seen the terms illuminance and luminance used a lot.
Yes,
Are those also important concepts to grasp?
absolutely.
Yeah.
So those are terms that we use to actually measure and describe light itself.
Right.
So illuminance is the amount of light that's hitting a surface,
Okay.
like a tabletop or a wall,
Uh-huh.
and it's measured in units called foot candles or lux.
Okay, so that's basically telling us how well lit a space is.
Exactly.
Oh.
You know, think about like reading a book. You need a certain amount of luminance on the page in order to see the words comfortably.
Right. If it's too dim, it's hard to see.
Exactly. And if it's too bright, it can be glaring and uncomfortable.
Yeah. I've definitely experienced both ends of that spectrum. So what about luminance then? How is that different from illuminance?
So luminance is all about how bright a surface appears to our eyes.
Okay.
So it's the amount of light that's reflected off the surface and reaches our eyes. So a shiny white surface under the same illuminance
Okay.
will appear much brighter than, let's say, a dark matte surface.
Oh, interesting.
So even though they're receiving the same amount of light,
Uh-huh.
the way they reflect that light impacts how bright they appear.
Okay, so it's not just how much light is hitting it.
Right.
It's also about the properties of the surface
Exactly.
and how that light is reflecting.
Exactly. And designers take both illuminance and luminance into account when they're creating lighting schemes.
Right.
They consider the type of space, the tasks being performed, and the overall mood they want to create.
Okay, I'm starting to realize that there's a lot more to this than I initially thought.
Yeah, it's a whole field.
Yeah.
It's really fascinating.
So we've talked about fixtures and measuring light, but what about the light bulbs themselves?
Yeah.
Are we all still using those old incandescent bulbs, or have things moved on from there?
Oh, lighting technology has come a long way.
Really?
Yeah, the incandescent bulb, while it gives off that nice warm glow,
Yeah.
it's actually quite inefficient.
Is it?
Yeah, most of the energy it consumes is converted into heat.
Oh, that's why they get so hot.
Exactly.
Okay, so what are some of the alternatives that we have now?
So one option is halogen lamps.
Okay.
They're a bit more efficient than incandescent bulbs.
Okay.
And they use a special halogen cycle to redeposit evaporated tungsten back onto the filament, which extends their lifespan and makes them brighter.
Oh, wow. So they're like recycling the tungsten within the bulb.
Exactly. It's pretty cool.
That is cool. Okay, so what else?
So then we have fluorescent lamps,
Okay.
which are even more energy efficient.
Oh, okay.
They use a process called fluorescence to create light,
Okay.
where ultraviolet radiation is converted into visible light using phosphors.
Phosphors, what are those?
So phosphors are materials that can absorb energy and then re-emit it as light.
Oh.
Like glow-in-the-dark toys.
Oh, yeah.
They use phosphors.
Okay.
And in fluorescent lamps, this process is what creates that cool white light that you often see in offices and schools.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then, of course, there's LEDs, which seem to be everywhere these days.
Yeah, they're kind of taking over.
What's so special about them?
LEDs are really game changers.
Okay.
They're incredibly energy efficient, they have really long lifespans, and they come in a wide range of colors.
I've heard about something called binning with LEDs.
Oh, yeah.
What is that?
So binning is basically a sorting process for LEDs.
Okay.
Because they're manufactured in large batches, there can be slight variations in color and brightness.
Okay.
So binning ensures that the LEDs that are used in the same luminaire have a consistent output.
Oh, so you don't end up with a fixture with like mismatched colors?
Exactly, like you wouldn't want a spotlight with one LED that's warm white and another one that's cool white.
Yeah, that would look weird.
Yeah, it would look strange. So color consistency is crucial.
Right. Especially if you're trying to set a certain vibe.
Especially in retail displays or architectural lighting.
Yeah.
Where you really want to create a specific aesthetic.
All right, so we've covered the basics of, what a light is, how we measure it, the different types of light sources. But how do designers actually use all of this knowledge to create different effects?
That's the fun part.
Yeah, that's where it gets really interesting, right?
Yeah, that's where the artistry comes in, and that's what we're going to dive into next.
All right, I can't wait.
So get ready to learn about all the tools and techniques that allow designers to shape and manipulate light to bring their creative visions to life.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've talked about like the raw materials of lighting the lamps, the luminaire.
Always a building block.
Yeah, exactly, and how to even measure light. But how do designers actually take all of that?
Yeah.
And actually make it, create something interesting with it?
Well, that's where tools like reflectors and lenses come into play. Those are like the magic wands of lighting design.
Interesting.
They allow us to really control where the light goes and how it interacts with the environment.
So you're giving light a personality.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You can shape it, you can focus it, you can soften it.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about control.
So let's start with reflectors.
Okay.
How do they work?
So imagine you're shining a flashlight into a mirror.
Uh-huh.
The light bounces off the mirror and changes direction, right?
Right.
That's essentially what a reflector does inside a luminaire.
Okay.
It redirects the light from the lamp,
Okay.
shaping the beam and controlling its intensity.
So it's not just about making the light brighter.
Right.
It's about sending it where you want it to go.
Exactly. You want to control the direction and the spread of the light.
So like with a spotlight, you want all the light going in one direction.
Right, exactly. So like a parabolic reflector, for example.
Okay.
The unique shape that creates those parallel beams of light.
Okay.
Think of spotlights in a theater.
Yeah. Okay.
Or accent lighting in a museum.
That makes sense. And what about elliptical reflectors?
Ooh, those are interesting.
I remember reading that they have 2 focal points.
They do.
How does that work?
So picture like an oval-shaped mirror.
Okay.
When light is emitted from one focal point, it bounces off the reflector and converges at the second focal point,
Okay.
creating a very concentrated beam of light.
So you're focusing all of the energy into one specific point.
Exactly. It's great for applications where you need precise illumination.
I see.
Yeah.
I also came across something called cool beam reflectors or dichroic reflectors. Are those the same thing?
They are. Yeah, those are pretty cool.
What makes them so special?
So they're designed to reflect visible light
Okay.
while transmitting infrared radiation.
Okay, so what does that actually do?
So basically, it reduces the amount of heat
Okay.
that reaches the object being lit.
Oh, that's super important.
Yeah, especially if you're lighting something sensitive like a painting in a museum.
Right, you don't want to damage it with the heat from the light.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Yeah.
So cool beam reflectors are great for those situations.
Very cool. Okay, so we've talked about reflectors.
Right.
What about lenses?
Lenses.
Are they kind of similar?
They are, in the sense that they manipulate light,
Okay.
but they work in different ways.
How so?
So some lenses magnify light, like magnifying glass.
Mm-hmm.
Others spread it out or diffuse it. And some can even shape the beam into specific patterns.
Really?
Yeah, it depends on the type of lens.
Hmm.
Like a Fresnel lens, for example.
Okay.
It has those concentric rings
Yes.
that you often see in stage lighting.
Okay.
It concentrates the light into a powerful, even beam.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
Okay, so lenses are pretty versatile then.
they are very versatile, yeah.
What about diffusers, baffles, and louvers? I feel like those are terms that I always get mixed up.
Yeah, those are all light modifiers, but they have distinct functions.
Okay, let's break them down one by one.
Okay, so a diffuser softens and spreads out the light,
Okay.
creating more gentle illumination. Think of it like putting a frosted glass cover over a bare bulb
Oh, okay, I get it.
to create a softer glow.
Yeah.
So it's all about creating a more diffused light.
Okay, what about baffles then?
So baffles are like shields that block light from certain angles.
Okay.
They reduce glare and control brightness.
Okay.
You often see them inside recessed lighting fixtures
Oh, yeah.
to prevent the light source from blinding you.
Right. They make the light more comfortable to look at.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So baffles are all about controlling glare.
Okay. And finally, louvers.
So louvers are a series of baffles arranged in a grid-like pattern.
Okay.
They're commonly used in office lighting to direct the light downwards
Okay.
and minimize glare on computer screens.
Oh, that's smart.
Yeah, think of them like little Venetian blinds for your light fixtures.
Yeah. Okay. I think I'm starting to get a better grasp on all these different terms.
Yeah,
It's amazing how much thought goes into controlling light.
it really is.
It's not just about flipping a switch.
Oh, it's a whole science and art.
So we've gone from, basic terms and how to measure light to actually shaping light beams with these different tools.
Right, we're building up our knowledge.
What's the next step in this lighting design journey?
So now that we understand the tools, let's explore how designers actually use them
Okay.
to create those artistic and functional lighting schemes that we see in the world.
All right, so we're going to go from the tools to the actual techniques.
Exactly. Get ready to learn about accent lighting, ambient lighting, and task lighting.
I'm ready. Let's do it. All right, so we've got all the hardware down, the lamps and the luminaires and all those fancy reflectors and lenses that you were telling me about.
Yeah, we've covered the basics.
But now let's get to the part that I'm really fascinated by.
Yeah.
The techniques, the actual artistry of lighting design.
Exactly. This is where we go beyond just providing light and start thinking about creating an experience.
Yeah, like setting a mood or telling a story with light.
Exactly. And we have a whole palette of techniques at our disposal.
Okay, in our research, we saw terms like accent lighting, ambient lighting, task lighting.
Right.
It's like a whole recipe book.
It is like a recipe. You're combining different ingredients to create the desired effect.
Okay, so let's start with the basics. What is ambient lighting?
Ambient lighting is like the foundation. It's the overall illumination that sets the mood and allows you to navigate a space comfortably.
Okay, so it's kind of like the background music.
Yeah, exactly. It's setting the tone, but not necessarily drawing attention to itself.
Okay, and what about accent lighting?
So accent lighting is all about drama and emphasis. It's used to highlight specific objects or architectural features,
Okay.
adding visual interest and depth.
Like in a museum, how they make the artifacts really pop.
Exactly. It's a powerful tool for storytelling.
Okay, I love that. And then there's task lighting, which I feel like I'm very familiar with.
Yeah.
Because I need a lot of light to work.
Well, task lighting is all about function.
Okay.
It provides focused illumination for specific activities, whether it's reading, preparing food, working at a desk.
So it's like having a little helper light beam when you need it.
Exactly. It reduces eye strain and makes those tasks easier and more enjoyable.
I think I need to invest in some better task lighting.
But we can talk about that later.
Okay, perfect. So we've got ambient, accent, task. What other techniques are out there?
So there's also grazing and wall washing, which are kind of specialized techniques.
Grazing, that sounds interesting. Tell me about that.
So grazing involves lighting a surface at a shallow angle
Okay.
to highlight its texture.
Oh.
Imagine a beam of light skimming across a brick wall, revealing all the little nooks and crannies and bumps and crevices.
Okay, so it creates that kind of dramatic play of light and shadow.
Exactly. It adds depth and visual interest.
And then wall washing. I'm assuming that's exactly what it sounds like.
Yeah, wall washing is all about evenly illuminating a wall,
Okay.
often using luminaires with a wide beam spread.
Okay.
It can make a space feel larger and brighter,
Okay.
or it can be used to highlight the color or texture of the wall itself.
Wow, I'm realizing now that lighting design is so much more than just providing visibility.
It really is.
It's about, like you said, creating an experience, shaping perceptions,
Exactly.
influencing how we even use a space.
It's a fascinating blend of art and science.
But we haven't even talked about lighting control.
Oh, yeah.
Like imagine being able to change the intensity, the color, even the timing of your lights with a touch of a button.
Well, nowadays you don't have to imagine it.
Really?
Yeah, it's all possible with modern lighting control systems.
Okay, so how does that, what's the magic behind it?
So it all starts with dimmers,
Okay.
which allow us to adjust the brightness of our lights.
Right.
And there are different types of dimming methods like leading edge and trailing edge.
I feel like I've definitely encountered some lights that just don't dim well.
Yeah, compatibility is key.
Right.
You need to make sure that the dimmer and the lamps are designed to work together.
Okay.
Okay.
Good to know. But dimming is just the tip of the iceberg, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
We also have sensors now.
Sensors, what do they do?
So sensors can automatically adjust your lights based on things like occupancy or even daylight levels.
So the lights could actually respond to how much natural light is coming through the windows.
Exactly. It's all about creating a more dynamic and responsive lighting experience.
That's incredible. And then there's like those really fancy systems, like what was it called? DAL?
Yeah, DLI stands for Digital Addressable Lighting Interface.
Okay.
It allows for individual control of luminaires,
Okay.
so you can create these highly customized and programmable lighting schemes.
Wow. So you could have light scenes that change throughout the day, or like even choreograph lighting sequences for special events.
Exactly. The possibilities are endless.
That's amazing. And I feel like with the rise of smart homes and all that,
Yeah,
lighting control is just going to become even more integrated with everything else.
absolutely. It's all about creating personalized and adaptable environments that cater to our every need and desire.
This has been a really enlightening deep dive.
I see what you did there.
I'm going to look at lighting in a whole new way from now on.
That's what we were hoping for.
It's amazing to think that something as seemingly simple as light can have such a profound impact on our experiences.
It's true. Lighting is often overlooked, but it's an essential element of design.
Well, thank you for shining a light on this fascinating topic.
You're welcome. It's been my pleasure.